Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you ever heard of turbo debt?
No, what is that? Something to get me into debt faster?
No, turbo debt is not to get you in debt faster. It's to help you get out of debt. Do you have over $10,000 in credit card, personal loans, medical, or payday loans?
Of course I have debt. That's the American way.
Au contraire, mon frere. Turbo debt will give you the option to break the debt cycle and start putting money in your pocket.
That's awesome.
Over 70% of Americans die with credit card debt. Do not let this happen to you. Turbo debt will give you an option to break the debt cycle and start putting money in your pocket.
That's awesome.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and personal loans, medical, or payday loans, they can help. Go to turbodebt.com/techtime. Again, that's turbodebt.com/techtime, all capitalized, for a free consultation today. TurboDebt is a proud sponsor of this week's episode of TechTime Radio.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week, the show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. Each week, our show covers the weekly top technology subjects without a political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and of course, with a little whiskey on the side. We live stream during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to visit us online at TechTimeRadio.com 24/7, or you can also become a Patreon supporter at Patreon.com/TechTimeRadio. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host, a technologist with over 30 years of technologies expertise working for Fortune 500 companies across the country. And my co-host here, Mike Corday, is an award-winning author, originally from Arizona. He's a human behavior expert living in the Seattle area with a master's degree in forensic psychology. Mike is here to help me from geeking out while providing insight into human behavior and how it interacts with technology. Now, we also have Marc Gregoire joining us in studio today. We have a plethora of whiskeys we will be tasting.
You got to find a new word, buddy.
I got that we will be tasting. So he's going to be providing us in studio his Marc's Mumbles and tasting as we go on through the show. Now, we're our friends from different backgrounds, but bring the best technology show possible every week for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. Odie's behind the board. Nick is queued up, ready to go. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
All right, this week on Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, Congress wants to regulate AI. This is a big event that just happened this morning. I was watching this as I prepped for the show. Will Sam Altman convince them otherwise, or will he agree to allow Congress to regulate AI? We're going to talk about that. Then Apple introduces new features with cognitive accessibility. Mike's going to be talking about that. And Twitter acquires a company after naming a new CEO. And the new CEO is Linda Yaccarino. So
hey, you got it right.
I got it right. Yeah, Linda Yaccarino is a interesting hire. We'll be talking a little bit about that. And then a YouTube stunt gone wrong. Very wrong. Hopefully we get that in the Nathan Nugget. And we look back in our This Week in Technology at the antitrust suit filed against Microsoft this week back in the day. I was actually at Microsoft working during that time, and boy, that was some interesting events. We'll talk a little bit about that. And, of course, we have Nick Espinosa on to share with us why our DNA has been compromised. All right, our DNA has been compromised. Now, we talked a little bit about some China hacking DNA with James Riddle.
Our DNA info, not our DNA.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? Our DNA info, and he'll explain why. Nick did a big rant about this on Twitter, and I started laughing, and so we made sure to get him on to talk about this. And then also, Brave Browser has a new secure mode that lets you visit sites and then erases the information so no one can track you. Is that really true or not? We're going to be talking about that with him also. We have our pick of the day whiskey tastings. Today we are sampling 4 Elijah Craig different bottled items, so that we'll be tasting about that. So I don't know if we're going to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. I already know I like Elijah Craig, so it's probably going to be 2 thumbs up. But Mark wants to do some experiment.
We're doing a blind taste test today,
to see which one we like better.
We're not doing a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, so we're already giving it a thumbs up, right? Because we're Elijah Craig fans.
Well, apparently I didn't like the low proof one. So.
Oh, okay, well maybe you won't like it.
But I don't go back and look at my thumbs.
You don't do that? Okay. All right, well, let's start our top technology stories of the week.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right, story number 1. Congress wants to regulate AI, with Sam Altman convincing them otherwise, or does he agree? We have some audio from his entrance into the hearings this morning.
He's a really quiet guy.
I guess so. There we go. There it is.
What are you looking forward to today?
I am excited to have a discussion. I think this is really important and it's a good time for it.
How concerned are you about AI?
I think we can manage this for sure. I think we need to take it seriously. I think now is a great time to be doing this. It's good to try to get ahead of this. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but it's one I'm sure we can handle.
All right, so OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is making his congressional debut before the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee today. He rolled out with charm, and he gave artificial intelligence, like his company's product, a wide runway to rapidly advance. However, Altman's testimony expounded on the society virtues of generative AI. Will it clash with the skeptical lawmakers? Very interesting. So this is a good 2 hours, 3 hours. It's available online. We will have a link for people to watch the YouTube. The Wall Street Journal was broadcasting this. This was broadcast all over everywhere. So we had 3 people sitting on a panel that essentially were being asked questions. Now, it started with the opening statement from Missouri Senator Josh Hawley that said AI could do one of 2 things. It could essentially be a new printing press, or it could be the atomic bomb. So everybody on this committee either thinks that AI is great. It's very odd. There's nobody that's like, well, I think AI could be great. It's either AI can be great, or AI is going to be the next bomb that destroys the world because we're developing this right now. Now, essentially, Sam Altman supports regulation. Now, he is of ChatGPT and AI at large, and he would like to have legislation that is not worldwide legislation, because that was the question that was asked with him, but essentially America-based governing AI rules put in place. Very interesting. IBM had a representative there, and she was not very excited at all to say that they wanted IBM, representing IBM as a whole, to have any regulation at all on AI.
Well, isn't that because, well, there's a reason for that, isn't there?
Well, so it's really interesting. So this is what I had never listened previously before to Sam Altman, and I came away from it thinking that he's kind of like my hero now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he was talking about AI. He says that it's really good and successful. They've created a very successful process. Everybody says, well, can we regulate it? Can we do this? Can we do this? And he says, sure. Put labels on it, put regulation on it, as long as it's all an equal playing field and we all start with the regulation now when we go through the processes. He's okay with regulation. Very odd. He didn't look like Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg looks like a goofball when he meets in front of the committee. When you have other people meet in front of the committees, they all try to act pretty arrogant. And so essentially Altman just said, yeah, okay, let's go, let's work together.
He didn't act arrogant?
He did not act arrogant. He answered questions. He said some things. They asked him about some political stuff, and he's like, hey, I don't understand that. He asked about, what do you think is going to happen in 50 years? How do you think it's going to happen in the business, economic sector? And he's just like, I don't know any of that type of stuff. I'm here to talk about the ChatGPT stuff.
Is he an expert on ChatGPT?
Well, he's the founder. He's the founder. So
did he program it?
I'm sure he did.
Is he the face of the company?
No. I'm sure he actually had programming chops in his background.
Okay.
And so he says, let's regulate it.
So can he understand it?
Yes.
See, that's not what it sounded like when that opening statement.
Well,
he said, I think we can.
Okay,
I think we should.
So he was very vague on some of his answers, but he's really pro regulation, and the reason is because they're so far ahead. So ChatGPT is so far ahead of Google, so far ahead of all these other companies that I believe he wants to regulate it. So he can say pretty much like I'm 10 years ahead of you guys. So let's regulate it now. And I will be able to then still dominate the market because the regulation you're going to put in is not going to be hurting my company. It will hurt the other. So
this has nothing to do with the actuality of it being a dangerous product. It just means, hey, let's regulate it, and I still get to win. Is that what you're saying?
I kind of got that from them. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very interesting. Lots of questions. Yeah, a lot of our politicians that we put in office are just idiots sometimes. I mean, they ask like dumb questions. They have no idea what AI is. Well, I heard that AI from some of my people in my congregational area that this could do blah 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 blah, like jobs creation. That's going to take all these jobs away. And he said, well, no, there's going to create actually more jobs for new people that need to learn this type of deal. And so I thought he did pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk used to be kind of like my buddy. I used to love listening to him. I can tell you, Elon Musk is now kind of on the Donald Trump side where I've kind of thrown him away type of deal.
What's your timeline for your hero worship on Altman here?
Sam Altman, it's pretty strong right now. So I'm a big ChatGPT fan, and now he's kind of high. So we're going to see what's going to happen here.
Okay.
All right. Story number 2. You ready?
Oh, wow. That was quick.
Okay, there you go.
You don't want to talk about the congressional meetings
anymore? No, I mean, so you can all watch it online. But so Altman looked much better than I expected him to do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
All right. Well, Apple is in the news again for additional features for cognitive accessibility, along with live speech, personal voice, and point and speak in magnifier.
Okay.
Apple introduces new features for these. Today, Apple previewed the software, which features cognitive, vision, hearing, and mobility accessibility, along with innovative tools for individuals who are non-speaking or at risk of losing their ability to speak. These updates draw on advances in hardware and software, include on-device machine learning to ensure user privacy, and expand on Apple's long-standing commitment to making products for everyone. Apple works in deep collaboration with community groups representing a broad spectrum of users with disabilities to develop accessibility features that make a real impact on people's lives. Coming later this year, users with cognitive disabilities can use iPhone and iPad with greater ease and independence with assistive access. Non-speaking individuals can type to speak during calls and conversations with live speech, and those at risk of losing their ability to speak can use personal voice to create a synthesized voice that sounds like them for connecting with family and friends. For users who are blind or have low vision, detection mode in magnifier offers point and speak, which identifies text users point towards and reads it out loud to help them interact with physical objects such as household appliances. Live speech and personal voice advanced speech accessibility. With live speech on iPhone, iPad, and Mac, users can type what they want to say and have it spoken out loud during phone or FaceTime calls, as well as in-person conversations. Users can also save commonly used phrases to chime in quickly during lively conversation with family, friends, and colleagues. I guess that would include curse words.
Maybe you could say F that, or you could say something. Yeah, okay.
Live speech has been designed to support millions of people globally who are unable to speak or have lost their speech over time. And yeah, that's kind of what's going on with Apple.
That's kind of this is kind of the positive things,
right? That's one of the things that I think is positive that Apple does is make it, because accessibility is very difficult when there are disabilities involved. And unfortunately, in the world, disability is one of the last things people think about when accessibility becomes an issue.
That's true.
I mean, I worked in this field. So.
Yeah, because it's such a small field. So what they do is they always make for the masses, right?
Well, yeah, they may. That's the crux of everything that we do. Our society is based on the whole and what we call the norm. Yeah. And if you don't fall within the norm, then you're left with trying to figure out how to access the norm. And that's one of the nice things about technologies these days is like one of Apple's perks, I guess, or one of the things that I like about Apple, even though I'm not an Apple user, is that they are constantly trying to improve that accessibility for people.
Their platform is probably the best of that, right? Because the Windows market really doesn't do a very good job. They don't have additional fonts. And so the font sizes have always been an issue with Windows. And then they try to do some accessibility stuff. It never really works right. And they had sticky keys and all these other things. And that comes out as a release, and then it just never gets advanced. So it's nice to see that Apple's spending some time and doing research groups to actually make
and I wonder if that's because of Apple's position in the market because they went into the education.
Yep,
they started with education. I wonder if that's part of it.
I think it's part of their core items that are there.
I don't know. Are we getting a finger?
No, we are. Okay, last story. We're going to play the audio right here about Twitter and everything that's going on here. Here we go. We'll play the audio for this.
Elon Musk making it official. He's tweeting out, quote, "I'm excited to welcome Linda Yaccarino, the new CEO of Twitter, saying that she will focus primarily on business operations while I focus on product design and new technology." Musk going on to write, "Looking forward to working with Linda to transform this platform into X, the everything app." But I think it is a major acknowledgement that this is an ad-supported platform now and probably will be for quite some time.
All right, so this is what Elon Musk needs help on his marketing and his ad sales because
does he really need help?
Yeah, so he's hiring from MSNBC, NBC affiliate. Essentially, Linda Yaccarino has been there 10 plus years, pretty well respected. She's done a lot of key speaking events with Elon Musk and has interviewed Elon Musk, and so they're pretty close friends, and they decided that now she's going to be running that company. And then, of course, Elon Musk has to go on out and immediately then purchase another company called Lasky so that he can add it to his new company called X. So this new company's X.
Oh, he's got a new company?
Yes. So we talked a little bit about this. He is now building the X company.
Okay. Do you think he's trying to get Discord too?
Well, So we talked about Discord. We talked about Discord last week,
yes,
right?
We talked about
Discord is changing their username to hashtags.
Yes. No, they're changing it from hash. Aren't they?
No, they're adding in the hashtag.
Oh,
they're adding in the hashtag.
Okay.
I do believe Elon Musk and his plans to build this new change because Twitter doesn't exist now. It's the company X, even though Twitter is one of the applications. This is like Meta. This is like with Facebook. So it's X. I do believe.
I wonder if he gets it.
Musk is trying to grab Discord. Yeah,
you think
there's some undergrounding tones that is some of the hashtag changes that are going through there. That Discord may be another one of the companies that he is looking to buy. So he's going all in on his social media platforms for his area.
All right. So is Linda Yaccarino going to fix Twitter?
No. What she's going to do is she's going to convince other executives to pay money and to put ads back into Twitter, which Twitter needs to be successful to fund their operations. And she's going to sell ad time and ads and ads and ads and ads.
Okay, so she's just marketing, and Elon's going to continue futzing with the whole thing.
Yes, Elon's going to run the back end stuff and try to make things go. That's what we got here.
Oh, well, that sounds like it's not going to work.
Well, no, because he's pretty good with technology. He just can't deal with people.
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, all right. Well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. Moving on, we have Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics, who will be joining us after this break. We have the question, has our DNA been compromised? You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. See you in a bit. Hello, listeners. We're excited here at TechTime Radio, aren't we, Mike?
Oh, no.
We have an announcement to make starting in June. We're really excited to be a part of an internet radio station. That's right. Coming up in June, you will still be able to listen to us live here at Kixie 880 and KKNW and all of our affiliate stations. But you'll be able to listen to us at 8 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday now. We look forward to this new opportunity to provide you TechTime Radio every weekday. And again, you can always catch us online at TechTimeRadio.com. Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Tech Time's a weekly hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. Brought to you by myself, Nathan Mumm, and Mike Day. We just had our first whiskey tasting, and we got 4 to taste today.
Yeah, what are we doing today?
Well, so
this is not what we normally do.
No, this is our whiskey connoisseur.
Let's get Mark over here and tell us what we're doing.
Tell us exactly what we're tasting.
I just see a lot of whiskey.
I just tasted a yellow.
Oh my goodness, you two.
Yes.
So I'm glad I'm here to correct some things. So number one,
yes,
you will be given a thumbs up and thumbs down because the main one we're going to be doing is the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A123 that was released a little while ago.
Okay, the A123. Okay.
And then you were going to be comparing that blind, of course, against private barrel proofs from Oregon liquor stores of 11th Avenue, Farmington, and Rose City.
Okay.
So they're different proofs.
They're a little bit different proofs.
Okay, so I just tried yellow.
So let me tell you a little bit about everything that we have here.
Okay.
So this is all from Heaven Hill Distillery, from Bardstown, Kentucky. It's straight bourbon, and the A123 is 12 years old. The private barrels range from 9 to 11 years old. So one's actually a 9, one's a 10, one's an 11.
Okay, and
one's
a 12.
We've got a 12.
All right.
The proofs, as you mentioned, do range too. So the main one, the A123, is 125.6 proof. And the other one range from 122.2 up to 132.3. Quite a big, wide range there. They're all the exact same mash bill, 78% corn, 12 malted barley, 10% rye. Now, what's interesting is the one that is the A123, that is directly put out by the distillery. And that's at roughly $74.94 for the price.
All right.
But the private selects are $10 more at $84.94 or $84.94. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all I got out of that is we're tasting 4 liquors that are the same from the same company.
From the same.
They're all the same batch. They're all distilled. They're all put in the barrel. It's just when they pulled them, and one is a batch, and the other ones are single barrels.
All right. So I tasted yellow, and yellow had a pretty. It's okay now a little bit, but that had a pretty big kick.
Yeah, it had a nice kick to it.
What did you think of yellow so far?
I was okay with the yellow.
Okay with yellow?
Yeah.
All right. So then the next break we'll do red, then we'll do green, and then we'll do blue.
Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit from what Elijah Craig says from their website.
Okay. What do they say?
So the SIP Barrel Proof is an experienced bourbon in its purest form, uncut, straight from the barrel, and without chill filtering. Each bottle is labeled with its unique proof and batch number, but the nose, taste, and finish are pure Elijah Craig. Rich vanilla, caramel, and butterscotch, along with spices of black pepper and cinnamon at the back of the palate.
All right.
Okay.
I'm just excited we're going to be drunk by the time we're done with the show here.
Yeah, we're going to have fun trying to get out. We better move on here. We got to talk to Nick.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mark, we'll bring you back in here. Now that we have our first whiskey tasting completed, let's move on to our feature segment. We have our expert here, Nick Espinosa, joining the show. He's an expert in cybersecurity and network infrastructure. Nick Espinosa has consulted with clients ranging from small business to the Fortune 100 level. In 1998, at the age of 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks, later acquired in 2015, and he then created Security Fanatics, where he's the chief security fanatic. Let's welcome Nick to our Comcast video stream to start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our TechTime Radio expert, Nick Espinosa.
All right,
Hi,
Nick. Welcome to the show today. How are you doing? We're getting drunk. I mean, we're drinking here. Sorry about that. A little longer of our intro. So hopefully you have some nice whiskey that you're sipping on the side.
All good. I'm playing along at home.
Okay, perfect. All right, there you go. You got the home game edition.
Can I just say, regarding our members of Congress asking questions for tech executives, back in 2018, when Mark Zuckerberg went in front of Congress for the Cambridge Analytica scandal, the only thing I tweeted out that day was that if every member of Congress let their grandkids question him, he would have been screwed. And that is essentially the name of the game here, because they have no idea how to talk to these people whatsoever. Hire me. I'll do it. I'll have a great time with it too. Yeah, I'm just saying.
They had some dumb questions. But I'll tell you, though, I had never heard Sam Altman speak before. And
he's
man,
he's an interesting guy, isn't he?
I was interested. I was engaged. And you know what? He was less combative than most people that normally go in front of them with the technology.
So he was smooth, huh?
But I think it was
charming and glib.
I think it was just natural, though. I just think he was kind of like, you want to regulate it? No big deal. I'm so far ahead of you guys that we'll see what happens. And they want to do world regulation, and he's like, no. And then that the gal from IBM, boy, she was in a She was in a feisty little mood. She didn't like anything that they were asking. So, all right, Nick, how have you been?
Oh, I keep keeping on. Been traveling, been hanging out, been speaking to great audiences, and here we are.
Okay, so James Riddle was on the show a few weeks back in episode 149. China Attack of the Clones was our title, and he explained how other countries have purchased DNA from U.S.-based companies through processes of purchasing the
23andMe,
the
Ancestry.com,
the items that we allow to be available for sale. But Nick has, and I was listening to your tweet that you put out there on Twitter, and you have a take about DNA and eDNA. So, Nick, what is eDNA to give everyone a baseline to understand what we're going to be talking about here?
All right, so think about it this way. We have our regular DNA. Think about Law and Order, CSI New York, those kinds of things. When they're collecting blood samples, that's what we typically think of in DNA for things like criminal investigation. But we leave DNA flipping everywhere. Whether it's our homes, we go into restaurants. It's in the dirt, it's in the air, and all of that. And so it's been very clear for decades that we basically have littered the planet with human DNA. Now, basically, scientists have always believed that the DNA that we scatter all over the place, just as I'm just walking down the street, leaving DNA as you are and everybody else is, that these in the environment have been too small and too degraded to actually be meaningfully recovered. So you can't really identify a human being, for example, with these distinct samples like blood stains that or other things that you would see at a crime scene. But interestingly enough, wildlife researchers are kind of leading the way here because they have basically been embracing eDNA or environmental DNA, basically to track things like animal populations or species and subspecies that are hard to find. And so by virtue of that, they started to understand, hey, wait a second, we're getting a lot of human DNA. And so basically a research team out of the University of Florida said, let's see how much DNA we can find in absolutely everything. And they found an absolute ton. Now, on top of this, a research team out of Oslo basically found that they were able to collect DNA basically out of thin air, human DNA out of thin air, meaning you're in that place, you've got DNA particles floating around. Now, the interesting part about this is when you're looking at it from a forensic standpoint for law enforcement, the FBI has what is known as Codex. That's the Combined DNA Index System, and they require 20 markers in your genes spread across the human genome to positively identify you as you. And this eDNA is basically one marker at a time, but it's now enough, and the technology is getting improved to the point where they can simply just grab a sample out of the air and here we are. And so sooner than later, our DNA, even though, let's say we walked by a crime scene 20 minutes before the stabbing happened, our DNA is caught up in this now. And that is something that has privacy experts really concerned.
Okay. Well, yeah, because you could create a tracking device, right? I mean, here we go into the far future, but...
No, but it's not as far as you. That's what Nick's saying. It's not as far as you think about. So I go to a restaurant, right? I'm there. I'm sitting at a table. I put my hand up on the wall.
Well,
I put my hand all over the table.
We're talking about just simply sweat.
Correct.
That evaporate.
And now all of a sudden there's a shooting there.
Skin cells.
And I look somewhat like the person that could have been the person that pulls the gun. It must have been a gorgeous looking guy. Okay. But so if I look somewhat like that person, now all of a sudden, if they start looking for DNA testing and then they found my DNA, what I believe Nick was saying in the rant that I saw on Twitter and more about this, Nick, that I want to get from you is you're saying that the law enforcement show up to the site. Now they're starting to take the DNA and they could actually get my DNA there and say, gee, it looks like Nathan Mumm was a part of the shooting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. One of the problems that we have in the United States is that we have technological advancement very quickly, but our laws, and we literally just talked about how awesome our lawmakers are at understanding technology, our laws never keep up. And so by virtue of that, law enforcement always has this wiggle room, always has this loophole. The one that I've talked about prior to this extensively that I think is in the same vein is these essential blanket search warrants that law enforcement gets from Google. And so, for example, let's say a murder happens at 123 Main Street. They now can go with a warrant and say, Google, show me everybody that Googled 123 Main Street. Now, maybe I'm going there to shop. Maybe I'm going there to do whatever. Maybe it's down the street from my house. I don't know what it is. But now I'm caught up in that warrant, just like geolocation warrants. Show me every cell phone that was pinging in a 1 mile radius of the murder victim, and maybe that's half a mile from my house. And so when we were looking at this, if they're able to hoover up all the DNA in a restaurant in a dark alley, like maybe I walked through there the other day, a week ago, whatever it is, and my DNA is still there, now I'm part of that ecosystem. Now I become a suspect, even when I had nothing to do with it, and have a rock solid alibi. Now I've got to possibly defend myself. Now I've got to possibly, come up with that alibi to show that I wasn't there at the time of the murder. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on, with these kinds of things, and it's deeply concerning.
But doesn't that just complicate things? I mean, now they have DNA that of all these people that go through this crime scene, hypothetically. That just creates more and more leads for the cops to run down and try and figure out what happened.
I guess that's a good point.
Mike, yeah, but I kind of disagree. And the reason being is, as they are hoovering this up, these things can be automatically scanned and automatically run against genomic databases. This is how they caught the Golden State Killer, right? They had DNA on
Correct.
a murder weapon or one of the victims or something like that, ran it through GED match, and basically got like his second cousin or something like that, which narrows it down. And so when you're looking at, let's say, a densely populated city like a Seattle or a Chicago, New York, take your pick, and there are people everywhere. Well, now you've got 100 people out of a city of 1 million plus, right? That were there that can be positively identified. And it may not be me. Maybe, my cousin did 23andMe and now I'm getting caught up, or my cousin's getting a call saying, well, I don't live in Chicago. Nick does, go talk to him, and I had nothing to do with it. I just happened to be walking past there to go to dinner, whatever it is. And so the point is that historically warrants have required a good amount of evidence. You have to basically show a burden of proof to a judge. And right now what's being essentially allowed is, show me everybody that Googled something, which means, give me a warrant on every piece of DNA that I find in that alley, or on that street, or in that, shopping mall, or whatever it is. And that's a huge problem.
Oh yeah. Well, I can go back to the CSI effect where everybody now believes ultimately that DNA is the be all end all of evidence. And if they're just collecting evidence that is just out there, that's problematic.
It's problematic.
Right.
All right. So do you trust that law enforcement is going to be able to, with new technology advancements, be able to distinguish DNA that was left by individuals and the DNA that's actually being used? Or I don't know, you had a little less confidence in your Twitter post regarding the law enforcement.
Right. Well, and the problem is, okay, I mean, if we have a murder victim that scratched, the killer, and they can find DNA under the fingernails, or, the murderer bled on the person, that's different than finding two of my cells, 10 yards away because I happen to be walking by, right? So I think there is that ability to exclude very quickly. But at the same token, when you're talking about looking at one marker out of 20 at a time with this eDNA, maybe one of my markers matches one of the 20 from the killer. And so I think what we're going to see obviously is an improvement of technology. But if we don't see an improvement in the laws that govern how law enforcement can use this, then they're just going to abuse it like they were abusing, geolocation searches and Google search warrants and all of that.
Cell phone logs that you have.
And interrogation. That's one that's been around for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and so that's a huge issue. It really is.
Okay. All right. Next question.
It's time to leave the planet.
Is that we need to go with Musk to you're going to go with him to his.
I'm too old.
Okay. Forget it. All right. Brave browser is including a new feature called forgetful browsing that prevents sites from re-identifying you on visits. So security experts are saying that this may be that breakthrough. But Nick, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about Brave's new announcement of the forgetful browsing?
So I think it's good. Essentially, the way it's going to work, and I don't necessarily know if it'll be good long term, but for how we currently have cookies and identification on websites, that's actually a pretty good thing. And so, by virtue of that, essentially, as you go, let's say to ESPN.com or Google or Facebook or whatever, it's storing a good amount of data with you on the cookie. It's giving you basically a fingerprint. And so, what they're saying is, okay, you go to ESPN.com once. As soon as you close it, we are erasing that cookie. We're erasing that fingerprint and creating something new for you when you go. Now, that said, these kinds of things have the possibility of being de-identified, meaning as you are basically trying to make yourself anonymous, they can re-identify you through other techniques. So, for example, with the forgetful browsing, well, that may be killing, your global settings, your cookies, that internal data. You're still coming from the same IP address. The machine code that your computer has basically is the same. And so if this is not accounting for those kinds of things, meaning it's changing your outgoing IP address like a randomized VPN every time you go somewhere, there's still fingerprints that we can collect on you in the same way that, the Facebooks and Twitters of the world say, oh, well, if you use the platform and you're not using your real name and all of that, we don't know who you are. That's utter bunk, because you have a huge digital fingerprint based on the software configuration of your iPhone or your Android, based on your geolocation, based on your IP address, your carrier, your IMEI, your SIM card, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's no different for a computer as well. And so by virtue of that, while they're taking care of a lot of this, and I think it's a good thing overall, it's a step in the right direction, there are so many different ways to collect information about you to start linking you and continue to link you to who you are. And Google is coming up with a new system that essentially doesn't use cookies as well, that is supposed to make you more anonymous, but gives them way more back-end capability to identify you, which is something they don't talk about. And so how is Brave going to do this? I think it's a step in the right direction. I really do. I'm a big fan, but I still think it needs work.
Okay. That's kind of good, because I read it with a lot less excitement and said, you know what, because everybody thinks that you're always anonymous if I use a VPN. I think I can... Nope. And none of that is anonymous. If you're going out through Comcast's main router or whoever your service provider is, they know where you're at. They know where your location is. They know what you're going into. Unless you're bouncing from a VPN to another VPN and keeping that taken care of, it's not very safe. But talking about VPNs, before we go here, Nick, what is your recommendation of a VPN client to use?
If you want an actual name of a VPN client?
The VPN client.
The one we currently use and recommend is out of Switzerland. It's called Viper VPN.
I told you.
Yep. By Golden Frog.
Golden Frog.
That's mine.
That is Mike's.
Mine.
I know.
That's not yours.
That's not. I got to get rid of my NordVPN to get that. Mike listened to Nick on the show and got his VPN set up correctly. Good job. All right. See, Mike, there you go. Well, Nick, it's always great having you on. We got a packed show again today, so hopefully we'll see you in the next couple of weeks. And we appreciate all the time and effort, and I enjoy reading your Twitter information. So where can people go to find out more about you on Twitter and on the social media side of things?
Yeah. You can follow me at Nick AESP on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube / Nick Espinosa, and come say hi. I'd love to hang out.
Not on TikTok, though.
Not on TikTok.
Not on TikTok.
No, sir.
That's right. That's right.
Never on TikTok.
Never on TikTok. All right, Nick, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Bye, Nick.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
That's a great segment. We thank Nick and Security Fanatics for being a part of the show. That ends our segment, Ask the Expert with Nick. Up next, we have This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as we will be doing so during the break. You're listening to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
This is Mark.
And Greg.
For Copiers Northwest.
With a terrific offer.
Called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner.
One of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service.
As long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers.
Or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives.
And let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right, we're looking back at May 18, 1998. The United States Justice Department and the Attorney Generals of 20 states, plus the District of Columbia, filed an antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft. The case focused on Microsoft's integration of the Internet Explorer web browser into its Windows 98 operating system. The trial became one of the most famous events in tech history, eventually resulting in a settlement between the Department of Justice and Microsoft. In fact, the sanctions levied against Microsoft ended in May of 2011, exactly 13 years after the suit was filed. Now, I was at Microsoft during this time right here.
Mm-hmm.
I do not, to this day, I do not understand how adding in the browser, because I could still buy Netscape, and Microsoft still to this day pushes Edge in their browser OSs. They haven't changed anything from what they did in 98 to essentially what they do now. And people still choose not to use it, and they'll still use Google Chrome, Brave, as we just talked about. They'll still use Netscape back in the era. They had a whole bunch of alternatives. So I never, ever got this whole
well, maybe it was kind of like Al Capone. They couldn't bring him in for anything else, so they decided to go after.
That may have been it. I do remember that as a Microsoft employee, we thought it was pretty much bunkus because none of us internally at Microsoft were using Internet Explorer. We're all using Netscape. So nobody, every executive that went in there was using Netscape. No one was using Internet Explorer. So as much as they thought that it was dominating the market, it clearly didn't dominate it on the campus at Microsoft itself.
Microsoft was the big bad back then, right?
Yep. So they were kind of like the Facebook and the Google now, right?
And they were creating a monopoly. I think the liquor is starting to get to me. A monopoly, right?
Yep.
And so, they had to get them somewhere. So maybe they just targeted the browser. Be like,
Microsoft ended up paying it. I know when they put their money aside for that, they actually earned enough interest for the lawsuit on the money that they had saved in the bank when they paid it out.
Yeah,
but it essentially was like net neutral.
That's what all these corporations do when they get. Nobody cares about.
So they put it in a big bank.
They get fined by the government, and they're like, psh,
yeah,
whatever.
It was an interesting time.
Here you go.
Then.
Here's your money, Mr. Congressman. Here, let me get some money into your pockets. And we're just going to keep going and doing what we're doing.
All right. That was This Week in Technology. Have you ever wanted to watch some Tech Time history with over 2 years? It's almost 3 years now. A video podcast and blog information. You can visit TechTime-Radio.com to watch our older shows or join the Tech Timers Facebook group to talk with us live all the time. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have Marc's Mumble Risky Review and our Technology Fail of the Week. We'll see you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. StoriCoffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at StoriCoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at StoriCoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Marc's Whiskey Mumble.
All right, we got Marc here in studio. So, Marc, you're going to tell us what your mumble is.
Well, first, I want to congratulate you, Nathan, because it's your favorite pet day today.
It's my pet day. What's that?
It is National Sea Monkey Day.
Oh, I had sea monkeys.
I know
Those
you
are
did.
awesome. Those are awesome.
Everybody had sea monkeys.
Yeah, you'd send away from the back of my comic book strip, and I'd send away $9, and I would get a little deal with little magnifying glasses, and I could see the little shrimp swim around for about a week, and then they all died.
So actually, I had talked about sea monkeys being created in the lab many, many years ago. It was like 1957, I believe. They were created. And I said here, Nathan has many happy memories of awaiting the delivery of his first sea monkey in the mail after ordering from his comic books.
And you didn't even know that,
did I know you?
Yeah, you do know me. That exactly happened, but we didn't even talk about that.
Everybody did that. I did that.
I did that. I think everybody
That's how
did
you
that.
got sea monkeys.
That's how you did,
sent away from them.
Days.
Like X-ray glasses.
Oh, I know, and like the little buzzer on your hand where you shake hands and it would zzz people.
Acme Jokers.
Yeah, that was
all right. Well, let's get to the bourbon.
All right, okay.
So Elijah Craig Barrel Proof against Elijah Craig Private Barrel Proof. Now, both are variations of Elijah Craig Barrel line or bourbon line, but they have some key differences between them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, number one is barrel selection. So, the one that we called the A123 is a batch.
Okay.
So, it's a standard release from Heaven Hill where they select barrels from various rickhouses and for their flavor profile, and then they mix them all together into one huge batch and release it across the nation.
Okay.
The private barrels is a single barrel release. So one barrel, so there's only roughly 200 to 250 bottles of those that are available.
Okay.
And they're usually done by an individual, by a retailer, a bar, or a group that gets together to purchase that barrel. So each barrel has its own very unique flavor characteristics. The other difference is availability, of course. So the A123 is available nationwide.
Okay.
When you can find it, the private barrels are given just usually by a single liquor store in the United States.
Okay.
So if you want one of those private barrels, you have to go to that particular liquor store. It's the only place in the U.S. you can buy that particular juice.
Well, if it was the yellow or green, I probably wouldn't go visit them.
Okay.
And the last one, of course, is flavor, because when you do a big batch, it's a consistent flavor from bottle to bottle.
Yep.
The individual single barrels have different characteristics that come out.
Okay.
And that's what you're really seeing as you're drinking the different ones.
All right. So we tasted all four.
You tasted all four. All right.
All right.
So which was your favorite?
Well, my favorite is kind of either the red or the blue.
Do you have a choose between
I
them?
like the red because it was like a lot of alcohol. I could feel it. I just burned all.
That
the way
was the
down.
highest proof one.
Okay, I
But
like
taste them
that.
again, back to back, real quick. Mike, did you have a favorite
I
color?
like blue. Blue's the one I
narrowed
finished.
it to red and blue, too.
Okay. So,
Ooh, green is not good.
no, just check between red and blue.
Between
I'm going
red
to
and
say
blue.
your favorite's the blue. Let's go with the blue.
Okay, I like the blue.
Because that was my favorite, too.
Actually, yeah, I think that's my favorite.
Blue is
The batch.
the batch.
Is that just the standard one that's
the
available
standard
everywhere?
one that's available everywhere across the nation.
Wow, yeah, that's the best.
Yep. Now, red was my least favorite.
Okay,
That's why it's red. It's stop. To me, it's the youngest. It was 9 years old. You could taste the corn. It was not aged, and it just had a burn without the flavor.
Okay. How about the green?
The green was my second favorite. To me, that was the sweetest one. It's 10 years old, and I got a lot of the caramel and butterscotch on it.
I didn't like the green that much.
The yellow, I didn't mind as much. That's kind of but I got more of the wood flavor, a little tannic, a little dry on it. But the overall favorite to me is the blue. The blue had a little bit of everything. It had the spice, it had the wood, it had the sweetness. So that was my favorite.
There's our pick of the day already for the day. That's
I got
a little
Two
time
thumbs up
segment.
for that's the one
For the
we were
blue.
rating. Really was the blue. So that's
So they chose right. They chose
my,
right
my
to have
tongue
that
is
be their
numb, so I can't really tell anymore. But yeah,
All right.
And now, one final thing,
Yes.
day to day, you could come back and do this exact same tasting later, and depending on what you had that day, what your mood was, it could slightly change. So I actually did my rating. It took me over a month to do it because I had different ones popping up on certain days, but then over time, finally a trend came in.
Okay, there you go. Mark, thanks for that mumble. It's kind of like Cracker Jacks with a little toy surprise. They both come together
there you go.
just like whiskey and
What do you get?
technology.
Okay.
There you go. Let's get ready for our technology fail of the week, brought to you by Elite Executive Services.
We are out of time. Congratulations.
Nugget.
You're a failure.
Oh, I failed. Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
All right, okay. We got to make sure our mics were hot there. We probably shouldn't have said that, but we're going to get through our nugget. I promise.
I didn't say anything.
All right, here we
bad.
go. This technology fail comes to us from BlackBerry, but in a retro way. A new film explains how the smartphone market slipped through BlackBerry's hands. I still have the lingering fondness of my very first smartphone, a BlackBerry, which was given to me back at work in 1996 at Microsoft, known as the RIM Interactive Pager 900. The Interactive Pager 900 was a clamshell type device that allowed for two-way paging. Of course, the BlackBerry is no longer, and the story of how it became the hottest personal handheld device on the market, only to get crushed by the iPhone, is told in an entertaining fashion in a new movie simply titled BlackBerry. The film was just released May 12, 2023, and it's by the Operation Avalanche director, Matt Johnson. Check your local listings for a chance to see this great independent film regarding BlackBerry's demise. We're going to head to our last commercial break. When we return, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment, and we have a Nathan Nugget we got to get to. So sit back and raise your glass. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
How to See a Man About a Dog. It combines darkly comic short stories, powerful poems, and pulp fiction prose to create a heartbreaking and hilarious journey readers will not soon forget. Read How to See a Man About a Dog, collected writings, for free with Kindle Unlimited. Ebook available on Kindle, print copies available on Amazon The Bookpository, and more.
This is Mike's mesmerizing moment, presented by StoriCoffee. Visit StoriCoffee.com. All right, Mike, here's my question for you. What drives someone to create a device or a technology? We just talked about the RIM BlackBerry device. The story is very interesting. You talk about it all the time with Apple's creation of the Apple computer.
What creates?
Yeah, what drives people to do this?
You want the simple answer?
Well, yeah, because I got to go to a Nathan Nugget.
Pain.
Pain?
Pain.
Explain that to me.
We operate very simply. If something bothers us, we try to move away from it. So all these innovations are to help us not feel something that we are feeling, right?
Okay.
So we want to do something faster. It's always about faster, quicker. I need to connect more. I need to do this. It's about this pain of not being able to do it. That's the base. That's the most basic drive right there.
Okay. It's good to know. I must not have enough pain.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't created anything yet, so I got to have more pain.
You're always trying to create. In fact, you try to create. You have. I would say you have more pain than anybody else because you're trying to create answers to problems that there are no.
Mike is right on target. You can take the flip side of that. Is why don't you exercise enough? Why don't you do the correct diet? Because it's pain, and so you avoid it.
That's right. That's right.
It goes both ways on the scale.
Yeah. Well, I'll just tell you, you only have so many breaths in your life, and if I waste all mine on exercising, then
you
I wouldn't
are not
be able
an
to.
Electrical switch.
Okay, there you go. Okay, all right. Mike, thank you.
Yeah,
for that awesome, mesmerizing moment.
Okay.
Now we're going to move right now to our Nathan Nugget of the Week. We have an audio file that we're going to start right out after we start this segment.
This is your Nugget of the Week.
A YouTuber pleads guilty to federal obstruction charges after staging a plane crash and posting the video online in an attempt to promote his channel. Trevor Jacobs shot the video in 2021. It shows him parachuting to safety over the mountains of the Los Padres National Forest near Santa Barbara.
He then lied to FAA investigators about the cause of the crash and the location of the wreckage. Chris Wolf live with more on the stunt that could land that 29-year-old in federal prison. Chris.
Talk about dramatic, a plane crash caught on camera. Actually, multiple cameras inside the aircraft and outside the aircraft and in the pilot's hand. But in true Hollywood fashion, it was all scripted, an elaborate stunt.
Oh my gosh, dude. I have no idea where I am.
But he knows where he may be heading, federal prison for up to 20 years.
All right, so we got to talk about it. We can open the mic for all this.
This is just more stupidity from the YOLO crowd.
Okay, Trevor Jacob, 29. So he spent time learning to skydive. He spent time getting an aviation
license. Yeah.
So he can buy a plane, take it up, all of a sudden pretend that the plane is crashing, parachute out. He already had the parachute on.
Yes,
again,
I watched it.
There's like 4 cameras, HD cameras, looking at this plane as the engine stops. It doesn't like to catch on fire. It just stops. That's what happens when you turn a switch and probably turn the engine off.
Turn the engine off.
Right? So then he jumps out. There's this whole dramatic thing. Oh, no, I'm going to die, with his hand camera looking back at the plane. Lands and crashes the plane, which is a federal offense, especially because he then lied about it. He left the crash site, came back later because he knew where it was at, removed all the debris that was there on trucks so that no one would find it, and then he posted it up on YouTube.
Yeah. This is
4 million views as of today.
Yeah, of course.
So the guy is making
this is the problem
money.
with this. This is the problem that happens with these these people
Okay.
that are garnering attention. They're attention hogs, and they're doing things that are like these people that go out and prank people in public.
Yep.
And film them, which is nasty. Some are nasty pranks.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as with the women in bathtubs.
Yeah.
Or
the bikini, the girls on the Twitch that'll do a stream and they'll talk about.
They're talking about. It's all just this insane. Look at me, fear of missing out, BS.
Have you ever watched that Mr. Beast on YouTube?
I know about him, but I don't
my
watch
word,
him.
the same type of deal. So
it's just
it's
I really
like
hate
thrill TV to the utmost.
Yeah,
they stage stuff. They get paid to stage the stuff. And they pretend like they're hurting.
I know.
They pretend. Like when he crashes, he was like, "Oh, I'm."
We
so
as a society
damaged.
have really lost our minds,
our moral compass of what we're going to watch.
It's just our minds. We've lost our minds. This is just nuts.
So
the problem is though we can't blame them.
Okay,
the problem is us
that we all watched it, right?
It's like late night commercials. We keep sending money to these people, and they keep doing stupid shit.
You can't say that. Stupid crap. There you go. All right. We're going to have to re-edit that a little bit late. All right. Mark, you got something to say here? You want to say something? What do you got here?
No, I want to move on to the
pick of the day.
Pick
of the day. Thumbs up.
Come on,
I got
man.
thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Odie, you got thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Everybody.
This is one of my favorites.
You know what? I like it when you bring in more than one alcohol to drink.
Yeah,
more
next
alcohol,
time
you probably shouldn't do that anymore. We seem to be a little
I have
loose.
another tasting for you guys.
Before we go, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to TechTimeRadio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/TechTimeRadio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.